Mar from AmazinSellers. Thanks everyone for joining in. And it's such a nice evening out there, and spending time with us is quite a privilege. Thanks for joining in. And we have got Trevor Ginn with us from Hello Baby. You're a little bit about Trevor Ginn. Trevor is the founder of Hello Baby. It's one of his brands. I say founder of Hello Baby, but it's one of his brands. He had been in business for 10 plus years, right from the days where e-commerce was booming. So he knows a lot about the nuances of e-commerce and how to manage things well through all the seasons. He's very seasonal. With Hello Baby itself, his revenue is £4 million plus. And he also helps the brands launch or grow e-commerce channels. Like I said, they recently launched one of the handbag brands, and it's going really well. And if you would like to hire Trevor Ginn, here is the link. You can browse through easily from the homepage of AmazinSellers.com. But if just in case, this is the link, and I will send an email just following this webinar with the link to book Trevor's time. So I'm going to leave it over to Trevor in a minute, but just before that, if you have any questions through the presentation while he's doing the presentation, please go to slido.com, enter the number 76760. There are some existing questions in there. You can either like those questions, or if you'd like to ask your own, ask your own. Do not hesitate to ask questions. The more interactive it is, the more knowledge that you will gather from here. So do not hesitate, whether it's business question or experience question, it doesn't matter. Any question that comes through is a good question. Please mute on Zoom, which you're already there. But please mute on Zoom through the presentation as well. Please no sharing emails or contacts. It becomes like a business exchange chat more than anything else. All right. Now I'm going to leave it over to Trevor. You're on mute, Trevor, if you could unmute. Yeah.
Right, am I on now?
They are, yeah.
Excellent. Hello, everyone. Welcome. So today, thank you for the introduction, by the way. Today, we're going to talk about some other alternative marketplaces where you can sell besides Amazon, and also how to expand internationally, which is something my business has been very successful at. We turn over about £4 million a year. We sell about half of that's exported, or at least it was till recently. Raw Mail put up because of COVID, all the international shipping prices have gone up kind of about 2 weeks ago. So we'll see what effect that had. But we've certainly found one of the benefits of selling internationally is it had an enormous impact on our sales. And I think, we wouldn't really be in business without it. So if we could go on to the first slide, please. Right, is selling multi-channel for me? Certainly, with selling multi-channel, there's pros and cons, and I'll try and go through some of those here. First, the pros. It really is something. Multi-channel is something which is growing in importance in China, which is, I think, looking at China is a good way of seeing where e-commerce is going. Tmall is 95% of the market in China. Now, nobody trusts anyone in China, which is there's very little kind of trust between counterparties in China, which is one of the reasons why marketplaces are so big. But you can certainly see in the UK, Amazon is growing in importance and it's taking a larger market share all the time. And Amazon is also becoming more sophisticated in that it's becoming more of a kind of a brand portal, and you're beginning to see brand shops and Amazon trying to encourage more direct selling from brands. Also, very good point is diversifying, spreading your risk. I don't know how many people have had problems with getting their accounts suspended. It certainly happened to me. It happened to me today, actually, hooray, for fairly random reasons. Not one of my main accounts, but it's a risk. And if you have, all your eggs in one basket, it can be devastating. The more channels you sell on, the more you diversify your risk. and also you can find new customers. I mean, I know that Amazon is a big player, but it's not the only player. And you know, some people are very loyal to channels like eBay, or don't like Amazon, or just, you know, like helping the little guy. And also in certain parts of the world, so in France, so in certain parts of the world, Amazon isn't the biggest player. I mean, in France, you've got Amazon, but you've also got Cdiscount. In the Netherlands, Amazon's only just launched. The biggest player is something called Bol. In New Zealand, it's something called Trade Me. And there's a host of other international channels. So you can really, you know, it's about picking up incremental sales for the products that you're already selling by selling them in different channels. Now, I talked about a little bit about international expansion. We have, it's one, if you can find a channel which is strong in a particular country, it's a very good route into that country. So for example, my company sells on Amazon Japan. We sell, I mean, it's not big sales, but it's a few £1,000s a month. It all adds up. And there's no way that we would really be able to sell that amount into Japan without, you know, having Amazon, you know, being able to sell through a platform like Amazon. Okay, cons. Cannibalization. I don't know how big an issue this is, but certainly, you know, you could argue that if you have multiple channels, it's the same customers and they're just buying, you know, instead of buying from their website, your website, or they're buying from other channels you sell on. Something that brands, I say, would worry more about. Complexity, you know, if you have, the more channels you sell to, the more complex it becomes, the more setup you have to do. You know, hopefully, you know, you get more orders and that adds more complexity as well. You probably will begin to think about some sort of system to tie it all together. So I sell on Amazon, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, USA, Canada, Australia, Japan, recently Singapore and UAE. We also sell on Cdiscount in France, Bol in the Netherlands, something called Fruugo, something called OnBuy in the UK, and we sell on our own website. But not only do we sell on our own website, we do Google Shopping in about 10 different countries as well. Is that too complex? It probably is, to tell you the truth, but you know, it's quite fun setting it up. But now, probably time for a little bit of a cull of channels. But anyway, nevertheless, even if you've gone from one channel to 3 or 4 channels, it still becomes more complicated. Selling internationally particularly is more difficult. It's more difficult to fulfill, and no matter how good the service you use, unless you're using, I don't know, something like FedEx, and you're paying a lot for it, it won't be, the delivery will not be as good as it would be just domestically, and that causes customer problems. And just, you know, you either have to accept those or not do it. Basically, if you're selling into different countries, then you're obviously going to come up against language problems and how to deal with those. Personally, I find that, you know, you'd be surprised how good Google Translate is. It's certainly very cheap, but it is, you know, most of the time it's okay, but sometimes you will, you know, for example, if you're trying to deal with a delicate situation like negative feedback, you possibly need to get a natural language speaker, but you can hire them quite easily. Creating listings is, you know, if you're using, I mean, Amazon is a catalog-based system, so you can quite a lot of the time just add your offer to a listing that already exists, which is very, very easy. And you can do a similar thing with European marketplace as well. Some obviously, you know, but when you actually go to a new marketplace, they may well not have any of your inventory on it, and you'll have to create the listings from scratch, which can be fiddly. Finally, hidden costs. For example, I mean, things can just cost more than you think they do. So for example, on PayPal, if you take PayPal payments on eBay, not only will you have the normal PayPal fees, but if someone pays from, say, North America, there's an extra 2% fee on top of the normal PayPal fee, which is quite easy to miss. So anyway, pros and cons of selling both on different new channels and also those new channels kind of internationally. Next slide, please. So firstly, if we're going to sell on Amazon, I know that Amazon is the main focus of this form, so I won't spend too much time on it. But just to say, you know, there's not only you know, Amazon in the UK, but it's available in lots and lots of other countries as well. Through the and it's the same interface in every country as well. I think that's a very important point to make. That if you, I mean, particularly if you've got a UK account, then you're already, you know, it's very, very easy to start selling on France, Italy, Germany, Spain, and the Netherlands. It's all part of the same account, the combined unified European account. For North America, you have USA, Canada, and Mexico is the unified North American account. So each of these countries, each Amazon account does work pretty much in the same way. Also, the same product will have the same ASIN, you know, the standard stock inventory number, Amazon standard inventory number, I think that is, in each country. So you can effectively mirror your inventory on different countries by ASIN, because if it's if you have the unified account, it will share the inventory across the different countries. So also FBA is available throughout Europe, and you can pool your inventory. So Amazon has something called the European Fulfilment Network, whereby you can have the item in the UK, but then fulfill it into Europe. So you can fulfill items internationally from the same inventory pool. There's also a service called Pan-European FBA. And what that is, it's a bit complicated. If you have a listing live in every single European country, so France, Italy, Germany, Spain in this case, and the UK, then you would get you would pay the local fulfillment fee in each country. You wouldn't have to pay this extra transfer charge they charge. So Amazon, because it's a catalog system, is also very easy to set up and very easy to get selling, and there are no listing fees, unlike some other platforms. So what I mean by no listing fees is no upfront fees. Next slide, please. So eBay. eBay is available around the world, and though it's not the player it once was. When I first started selling online, eBay was the thing, and Amazon was much smaller than eBay, and now it's really the other way around. It's also, if you want to, there's two ways of selling internationally on eBay. You can either make your UK listing available to international sellers, which means just basically adding an international shipping option to your listing, or you can do something called that's the standard international selling. There's advanced international selling, where you create listings on each individual country. Now that is a bit complicated, and you probably do need a software tool to help you with that. There's also if you have an anchor shop, which is quite expensive, it's about £500 a month, that will enable you to list in those international countries at the same rate as if you had an anchor shop in those countries. So you would get the same discount as an anchor seller. Now, unlike Amazon, which is a catalog-based system, at eBay you have control over your listing. So each listing you publish your description, which is obviously more difficult. You have to have the description, but at the same time gets around some of these problems you have where the listing changes, or you list against the wrong product and it causes macho problems, which happens all the time to me, and it's very annoying. They also have the global shipping program, where you can enroll your products into this program, and then international sellers can buy from you, and you ship to a location in the UK and then get forwarded on, which is very convenient. eBay, easy to set up, though not as easy to set up as Amazon. And there are, depending on your seller level, there are some upfront listing fees. Can I have the next slide, please? Right, Fruugo. Now we're getting onto some slightly fruitier marketplaces. Fruugo is a bit of a dark horse, actually. It's a UK-based platform. It's very internationally focused. Its thing is international sales. So let me just get rid of that. Sorry. Bye. It is a based on a feed. So you have to generate a feed of your products. And what I mean by a feed is basically a file with your product details, which is updated with the stock levels and the prices. It will, so you probably need a system to help do that, but there's quite a few of those around. If you, so I'd say it's internationally focused. It will manage translations on your behalf. So you would submit your product listings in English, and it will translate them into the local language. And also, this is by machine translation. It will also manage the translation of the customer service. They do now charge a setup fee, which I can't remember what it is. It's like £750 a month. Sorry, £750 setup fee, just a one-off. But there are no listing fees. I think they charge around, it's similar to Amazon, though not the same. They charge, I think it's about 15%. They don't charge listing fee. They don't charge fees on the. They don't charge fees on shipping, and the fee is only on the VAT, the fee, the cost of the item before VAT. But then they do charge a payment processing fee, so it's kind of around 15%, give or take. It is anonymous in that, I don't mean anonymous exactly, it's only anonymous to the extent that they don't, you don't have like a seller profile on the account. It looks like you're buying from Fruugo. So effectively, I suppose you could say you're kind of drop shipping on behalf of Fruugo. But it's, anyway, well worth looking into Fruugo. It's becoming more and more successful and is going into a broader range of countries. Next one, please. Okay, OnBuy. A while ago, I would have totally written off OnBuy, but it seems to have. I mean, basically, it's a UK version of Amazon. It sells itself as the fastest growing marketplace, whether that's in the world. Don't know what that's based against. It's always easy to grow from a low base. It is a catalog-based system again, so you would list against, you can just submit a list of barcodes and it will give you a list of products against those barcodes. We started selling, we sold this a while back and we didn't sell very much, and then they wrote to me and said, please sell on it again, and I took pity on them and I sold on it again, and that's magnanimous of me, wasn't it? And we actually started doing reasonable sales. So we'll sell, we did 3 or 4 sales a day, which is not massive, but it all adds up. And if it's no trouble, then it's worth doing. So I think, I don't mind having low sales on a marketplace if, if it doesn't generate any headache. Got very low commissions. I think it's something like 9%. And it is a catalog-based system, as I said. Payment is also taken through PayPal, which is convenient. Cool. Okay. Cameron, please. I'm probably ought to look at my notes here. What did I say here? Right. Okay. So here's a few other ones. European marketplaces. As I said previously, the Amazon in certain countries is not the biggest seller. So here are some other European marketplaces. The Netherlands, bol.com, is very popular. It's amazing. If you think that Amazon has got strict rules and performance measures, then Bol is like Amazon on steroids. It's got all kinds of things it measures you against. Though they are a lot nicer. They're really nice people, and if you ask them to do something, they will take. If you say, "Look, I made a mistake. I'm really sorry," they'll actually take pity on you. Because recently we got our account shut down, and it's like didn't manage to get it, the email went to the wrong person or something, and then the time period elapsed, and then it was a bit late when I found out about it, and I wrote to them and apologized, and they reopened the account. which is not something I think Amazon would do. But yeah, I mean, it works in a similar way. It's a catalog-based system. We do really good sales on it. It's great, but it's slightly hard to open an account. You'd have to go through I think we had to go for a broker, and I think we had to show that we had a someone in working for us that spoke Dutch, which at the time was actually true, but it isn't true at the moment. Cdiscount is a French marketplace. It has been quite clunky in the past. I find the sales kind of go up and down. Have done really well, and at the moment we're doing okay. It's pretty big in France. Works in a similar way to Amazon, really. The Allegro is it's a Polish-based site. Now, we tried selling on Allegro, but didn't really get anywhere. It's a really difficult. We use a product called Linworks, and Linworks supposedly integrates with Allegro, but we couldn't get the integration to work, and creating inventory was next to impossible. And you've got to remember that I'm quite experienced at creating inventory on these things, and I find it very, very difficult. I would, anyway, look, if it's perhaps worth thinking about if you do everything else first. Real is a German marketplace. I think it used to be called Hitmeister. We recently started selling on it, but we generated some reasonable sales actually, so it's worth looking at. But it's all in, I mean, the back end of it's all in German, which is not, if you don't speak German, it's a bit difficult. But Google Translate is your friend. So yeah, it's worth a look at. Finally, Price Minister. I think it's now, Price Minister was bought by Rakuten, who are the big Japanese company. I don't know, it might be worth a look. I thought it's a bit clunky. We got very low sales from it, but it may improve in future. It's also Fnac, which I think is what I meant to put in the second thing there, but didn't. Is another French site which has, supposedly quite high users, but we didn't generate that much in the way of sales from it. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, so finally, Google Shopping. I know Google Shopping isn't really a marketplace, but it has some kind of marketplace-like features, and also it is becoming, with the advent of Google Shopping Actions, it's becoming more like a marketplace. It's the way that it works, and if you have to have a website, though I have to say I'm not quite sure what happens with Google Shopping Actions, but if you're looking to expand your marketplaces, this is undoubtedly the easiest way of doing it. You do have to have a website. You have to generate a feed from that website, which will have, what I mean is a feed is a file that gets put on a location online and gets picked up by Google, which has the descriptions, the prices, the images, the inventory. It is also, so you need to generate that. It's available internationally, so you can sell on in multiple jurisdictions. We found the best places obviously are the UK, Ireland, USA, Australia, though, as I mentioned earlier, the shipping prices internationally have gone up, so that's not working quite so well now. It's charged on a cost per click basis, which means, unlike these marketplaces we've been talking about, which charge on a commission basis, it can be quite hard to work out. It can be quite hard to manage how much, what your cost of sale is, though you can do, there's, Google has bidding tools which allow you to kind of roughly monitor it. They've just, these two things at the bottom, free traffic, they recently announced that there's going to be a lot more free traffic available for, it's going to be more of a, I think it's going to be more like a kind of like the natural search thing, where you get a certain amount of natural search traffic and then you get paid traffic on top of that. If you read the press release on it, they made it sound like all the traffic is going to be free, but I would kind of doubt that is the case. But anyway, that seemed to be, they're certainly going to be driving more free traffic to people, whatever that means. There's this thing called Google Shopping Actions, which enables you to buy products, people to buy products from within the Google Shopping interface, which I'm sure will be very popular. Next slide, please. I'm just going to talk about Facebook briefly. This is not on this slide because I think this was actually announced in between the time that I wrote this presentation and well, after I wrote this presentation. Google is opening, not Google, sorry, Facebook is opening its, going to make its shop offering more, more like a marketplace or more of a transactional service. So people can buy products directly from the Facebook shop, and it's going to be integrated with sales systems like Shopify and Shopify, BigCommerce, Channel Advisor, etc. I'm sure that things like Linworks and Plenty Markets and some of the other platforms will integrate shortly, and that will. So I think that's going to be big, because if you look at I don't know if you look at the slide about number of Amazon users. There's 300 million Amazon users in the world, and there's like, I don't know, a billion Facebook users. So I think it's going to be massive, and with any luck, it's going to open up the market a bit, because it's quite it's always good when people give Amazon a run for their money, and also, if I remember seeing an advert for eBay a while back, and it basically said, get 3 times as much than Facebook for your products, which made me think, eBay sees Facebook as the competitor. So anyway, I think the Facebook shops are going to be the ones to watch. Anyway, moving back to the slides, that was a bit of an aside. Fulfillment and customer service. I just say I've got some more. I think there's some more considerations for if you're selling. Sorry, can you go back slide? Sorry, fulfillment and customer service. If you're sending stuff internationally, you've got to remember that there will be increased delivery time because I don't know. It can internationally can be very quick, but in my experience, it can also take a long. It can inexplicably take a long time. So sometimes stuff will arrive in 2 or 3 days, and sometimes it'll take 3 weeks. So when we send stuff internationally, we say, look, allow, the raw mail says allow up to 25 working days, and we do basically, we try not to give people refunds until the last possible moment, because things get lost in things get delayed, and they do turn up, and the longer you can make people wait, the better. But obviously you have to balance it up against people getting upset with you. Stuff gets lost in the post more and gets delayed. I don't know, who knows what happens, but you can send stuff tracked, but if you send stuff like airmail is really good for the price. It's if you use a tracked mail service, it basically just gives you a confirmation of delivery, then it's actually no better than airmail. So I don't know how good it is really. If you use a courier service, then it will be a lot more expensive generally. And I don't know. There's no right answer. Returns. If you sell on Amazon internationally, you have to provide a local return address. There are ways. There are companies. One's Easy Return, one's Zigzag Returns that provide these local return addresses, and they will basically collect the items, bundle, put them in a single box, and send them back to you. They will normally send them back once a month or something like that. It's not ideal, but anyway, it works. Customer service, if you need to, you will need to provide, people will send questions in their local language, and I think that a perfectly reasonable way of dealing with this is Google Translate, which is free and quick and mostly works. And if you use most of the leading customer service tools, will now integrate directly with Google Translate, and you can just automatically translate both the question and the answer. Right, next slide, please. Okay, so some points on getting set up. If you're setting up new accounts on different channels, particularly international ones, sometimes it's quite hard setting up the accounts. I mentioned with the bowl.com account, we actually got introduced to someone through Department of International Trade. I don't know if the Department of International Trade is all about, within our lovely world of Brexit we live in, it's all about getting people to sell internationally, particularly through marketplaces, and they have a whole list of marketplaces they are interested in getting people live on. I've mentioned some very generic ones. There are, if you're in fashion or in some other verticals, there's some specific marketplaces and deal sites, etc., that you can look at, particularly fashion, and they will help put you in touch with these things. I have a contact there if anyone wants it. Department of International Trade, not to be confused with the Department of Trade and Industry, which doesn't exist anymore. If you want to get paid, you can be difficult to set up. You need best off to have like a dedicated foreign currency account. So, for example, if you sell on Amazon or some of these sites, you will need a local bank account, and there are businesses set up to provide local bank accounts specifically for this reason. It's not so you'll get an account which is not like a checking account, but basically will forward your money directly to your bank account and will give you a good rate. Ones to look at, I use one called Payoneer. There's Payoneer and World First are the two I use. There's also another one called Currency Direct or something. Anyway, so what they do, so these companies provide me with a local Euro account and US dollar account, Australian dollar, Japanese yen, etc. And I then will submit these details to Amazon, and they will pay that account, and then it would get deposited into my account. Or you can get Amazon to deposit into your account directly, but the conversion rate they'll give you is rubbish, and you'll save 1 or 2% over the course of a year, which can be quite a lot of money, which is good news. What else am I going to say here? I've kind of talked about FX rates. I've kind of talked about hidden fees. Is just it can be in things like FX rates, it can be difficult to calculate what you're actually getting paid. Fraud, it's more fraud is easier with international sales, and people saying they haven't things haven't arrived and etc. It's got to watch your back a bit more. Okay, next slide. Is that, oh, here we go. Yes, finally, I think this is the last slide. Integration, I'm just saying, if you sell multi-channel, I would recommend using some sort of platform. I mean, the two I've mentioned here are Limworks and Plenty Markets are very good ones. There's plenty of other ones in varying complexity. These ones are based, the two I mentioned, Limworks and Plenty Markets, are basically a fixed fee, whereas other ones will charge, can charge a quite hefty percentage. I would personally try and avoid them because they're not necessarily better, though they might have better account management. So what these items do, they will manage, these products will do, they will manage your inventory, so you'll have your descriptions, your prices, photos, etc., all in one place, and you can publish these details on multiple channels. Then when you get a sale, it will pull it, so it pushes out the details, the stock, the price, and then we'll pull in any order. So pull in any orders and adjust the available stock on all marketplaces. So you could, for example, if you had 10 of something, you would list 10 on Amazon UK, 10 on Amazon US, 10 on Amazon Canada, etc., etc. If you sell one, then it would then adjust the stock on all, so there's 9 on each. So you don't have to, assign inventory to each channel. You can share the inventory across it. You could have then pull your order details into a single list of orders, where you can manage your dispatch. It will automate the communication. So you'll manage your, pick your item, pack it, mark it as dispatched, and it will automatically email the customer saying, you've been shipped. Which, if you're selling in bulk, is extremely important. And these tools save a huge amount of time, and I do not know how people manage without them, but some people do run very big businesses without using any kind of tools, but I think they're well worth the money. Next slide. Great, there you go. So that's me. Thanks very much. Should we take some questions from the floor? You're going to ask some questions, aren't you, I think?
Of course, yeah. I got a few questions here lined up. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was very informative. Thanks, Trevor. For everyone, if you would like to get in touch with, oh God, no. Yeah, if you'd like to get in touch with Trevor, please email to me and I will forward it to Trevor. It's just to validate the request coming through. That's it. Or you can directly book Trevor directly in this link that you see here. Oopsie, there is some glitch here now. One second, I'll sort this out. Right, okay. All right. All right, thank you so much for that, Trevor, again.
Okay.
So the list of questions that we have got here. For everyone else, please go to slido.com and enter 76760. It's not too many participants today, so please feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question as well. So it gets much more interactive. All right, fine. I'll start with Job's question. Job is also in the call. If you would like to unmute Job, you can please feel free to unmute and ask the question. But the question.
They're excluding traditional. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, my thing is not. I actually have a shop which I'm proposing to shut down. So, I mean, I've got a shop at the. I said my main business is selling kind of baby preschool products, and a lot of the baby and nursery market is quite old-fashioned, and a lot of the brands expect you to have a shop. So we opened a shop at the front of our unit, and I am completely sick of it because we get very few people in, and the people who come in spend ages looking at things they don't buy. And so I'd love. I mean, I think a shop. I think a shop, you can just look at it as a channel, and if you're good at it, then why not? I mean, I think it's a great idea, but I think that. I think to a certain extent, between the lot of us, we've created a beast. And every time you shop around, and we all do it. Every time you shop around to get a better price, and you go and look at a shop and buy it somewhere else, eventually these shops shut, and we'll miss them when they're gone. I mean, the problem I've had with the shop also is, it's a shop at the front of a warehouse in. I mean, it's quite a nice shop. It's on an industrial estate. We've done all the easy things. It just gets no passing traffic, and we've done all the easy things to promote it, and we don't get that many people there. So it's hard to know how to promote people to a shop unless you've got an expensive shop on a high street, and they're really expensive. I don't know. The thing, I suppose, I'm in online retail. That's why I excluded it.
Yeah. Right. And you were saying something. Where are you?
Sorry?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the presentation. It's really interesting as we're about to embark on this adventure ourselves. Me and my business partner, we're planning to open up on many channels in the next year.
Bring it on.
So yeah, Linworks was part of the deal, I think, definitely, from what I understand. But
Okay.
yeah, I just with regards to the bricks and mortars, more like did you try to get into places like, rather than opening your own store, did you try to get into places like John Lewis or?
Well, we don't know. The thing is, we're not a brand, so we are a retailer selling other people's products.
Oh right,
So
okay.
we're not.
Okay.
We so no is the answer to that.
Sorry, I did not realize that. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
all right. That makes it clear.
Yeah. Which I noticed actually from Hello Baby Direct.
Yeah, hellobabydirect.com. You can see our. I mean, by making your own stuff is a good idea. It's just not. I think white label. If you, I'm sure you've had presentations on white labeling. It's not something I've got particularly experienced in.
Yeah, no, it's a different business model, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, thank you.
Thanks. So thanks you for joining in. All right, let's start with some of the questions that I had there.
Well, do you want to do the next one? The share of sales from business.
That's one thing for sure. Yeah.
What do you want to do? Or shall I just answer that question?
Yeah. So what is the share of the sales?
Okay, so it's about a third. Currently, we're about a third Amazon, well, somewhere between a third and a half Amazon, and a third on the on the website, and a third other.
Mhm.
So, and a lot of that has been eBay. So I think, yeah. So we did. I mean, I think we've done about. I mean, we, you know, we do several tens of thousands on Fruugo every month, and we do a few thousand on Buy, but we've only really just started selling on OnBuy properly. Website we do up to about 100K a month. It varies. We pick up sales quite, bits of sales in lots of places. I mean, we've got, basically the Amazon sites we sell on. I mean, basically France and Germany and USA we sell quite a lot on. I don't think we don't sell masses on the other ones, but it all kind of adds up.
Mhm.
So
That's so interesting to hear that your sales is 1/3 in Amazon, 1/3 in.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's difficult with marketplaces to a certain extent. I mean, I think how much you sell on marketplaces is to a certain extent, it's mainly a function of the price and how big your inventory is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think mainly is, I mean, you can do advertising and, but I mean, quite frankly, I think that, with advertising, particularly on Amazon, you're already spending quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
And unless your margins are massive or you're the brand owner, I think doesn't really work. And so, I think our growth, what I'm trying to say, that our growth is going to come from the website. And also, we're launching some new e-commerce businesses because we found it quite hard to grow our current business. And I'm looking forward to, I'm problem we have with our current business, we've got lots of small suppliers, and it's just exhausting. And they fundamentally hate the internet, most of them. So, well, the internet didn't really benefit a lot of people. I mean, you imagine it benefited everyone, but I mean, if you're a pram supplier, for example, you used to have a supplier, used to have a shop in every town that sold your stuff, and you could control that very easily. And now you've got, me buying it and trying to sell it into France, and they don't like that. So
that bit I never understood as well. When I went to the Birmingham trade fair last year, none of them were encouraging or even engaging with us because we were mainly selling on the marketplaces.
Well, I think it depends what I mean, there is a definite hierarchy in retail, right? So at the bottom, I mean, I didn't even, at the bottom, the bottom feeders are the people that have that sell through Facebook shops only, right? And then above that is like kind of marketplace sellers. And then you've got above that, you've got people who sell on marketplace and a website. And then above that, you've got people who've got a shop. And then above that, you've got people with multiple shops. And then you've got, the so-called multiples, right? So, if you've got so in my case, you would have a lot of the brands wouldn't sell to you if you were just on a marketplace. Or the pram brands, a lot of them would want you to have a shop. And a lot of them, some of them were basically, if you want to get the really posh stuff, you have to have a shop on a high street, and you have to put the product in the front window and stuff. I mean, that's kind of why we had the shop. But I don't know, it's a bit exhausting.
That's right. When you put it like that with the hierarchy, then it makes sense to me.
Yeah, you see, so I think they don't, but with these things, I mean, to a certain extent, it's a tick box thing. And I think you find that if we sell a lot of our stuff on marketplaces, though that's not what we would tell people if we went to see a supplier. We would not, big it up. We would say, here's our website. We've got a shop. We wouldn't say, we sell most of it on marketplaces. And I mean, the international sale thing is a bit of a difficult thing as well, because a lot of companies, they will not give you, some companies will go mental if you sell their stuff internationally, right? Some companies will tell you not to sell their stuff internationally, but will then never notice when you do. And some companies just don't care. So it depends what, it's the same with pricing. I mean, some companies price fixing is absolutely rampant, though illegal. And I do occasionally point this out to people, though it doesn't go down well. Whereas you want to sell, but you don't tend to get permission to sell stuff internationally. It tends to be them, not telling you not to do it. So if they don't mention it, then that's fine, broadly speaking. Or you can just test the water, list it on some international sites and see what happens. They may or may not care. It's a voyage of discovery. That's how I put it.
Yeah. Also wisdom there.
Multiple channels. I mean, I've always sold on multiple channels.
All right.
I mean, really from the first day, it just made sense. There we go. What share of your business selling international?
I mean, when did you start? I mean, from the very beginning? Is it like...
Well, basically, I started off selling on Amazon and eBay and a website.
Mm-hmm.
And from the very beginning, we started selling. I mean, we on eBay and Amazon for that matter, you can, just buy, even if you just sell on Amazon UK or eBay UK, you can add international shipping options to your listings and then start selling internationally and then the next stage up from that is listing directly on the different marketplaces. So, I've always, sold stuff internationally, and to a certain extent, with listing things internationally, it is just putting it in a different bag, basically. I mean, you'll have if you sell stuff internationally and you use raw mail, I mean, now we're going to get slightly geeky about shipping options, but you can split things into zone sort, which is where you split it into EU and rest of the world. And there's no weight limit, so you can just split them. You can have one product in each bag and do that. But that's for raw mail account customers. If you have, if you've got large volumes, I mean, you've got more than 1.5 kilos going to each country each day, or a country, then you can basically use something called zone sort, which is much cheaper. But then you have to, I mean, for example, with that, you have to have three Australia channels, 3 Australia zones, 3 USA zones, 3 Canada zones, etc. So,
do you handle your own fulfillment, or do you use
yes,
the partner?
do. My suppliers aren't good enough to handle my own fulfillment. I don't know. I mean, all this stuff about people, getting their stuff shipped directly from the supplier to the to Amazon or whoever. I just certainly not the suppliers I have.
No,
I wouldn't trust them to do it.
That's not the kind of model I'm speaking about. I'm speaking about, are you using any third-party fulfillment?
No, we don't. Well, third-party, no, we do our own fulfillment.
Okay.
We can argue about whether that's a good idea or not, but it depends. You see, I'm a retailer. I've got thousands of SKUs, and you can argue about whether I've got too many or not, quite possibly. But I think that using a fulfillment house, if you have a relatively small number of SKUs and a relatively small number of deliveries, it probably makes a lot of sense. But if you've got a kind of complicated setup, I think it would be difficult to do.
Yeah, I think so. I would say that. I think we have got Matt with us as well. He has like 3,000 SKUs and he does his own.
Yeah, well, I feel your pain, Matt.
That's right. Yeah, thank you.
I'm about to list another. I've got some suppliers lined up who've got one that's got 40,000 SKUs, one that's got 20, one that's got 10. So I should be listing another 70,000 SKUs.
All right.
Quite soon.
Wow.
And that's, hopefully.
That's really a lot. 70,000 SKUs. I don't know how you manage.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's if it's from one supplier, it's from a single supplier. It's actually quite easy.
All right. Okay.
Depending on how good their data is.
Nice. So the other question is, I hear that Amazon is not suitable for all the products. I have seen that some products do not do well at all on Amazon. Have you experienced?
Well, some products don't do well on Amazon. Do you mean like I don't know? I mean, undoubtedly. I don't know. I mean, do you mean certain classes of product, or do you mean
classes of product? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I
have you experienced? Have you experienced?
I don't know. I mean, to a certain extent, I'm not sure I'm a particularly good product person. I'm quite good at the back end stuff. I don't know. I probably fail at the product side of things. What I don't think does well. I think personally, if you're talking about online in general, I would say that for us, we've always struggled to sell higher end items. So, you know, if you have so I know about, worked in the kind of nursery market, and things like high end changing bags and high end, £100 changing bags and, expensive cots and, expensive prams don't really sell very well online, in my experience.
Okay.
I don't know. That may well be changing, but I think that it's not. These kind of high touch items that people want, I don't think they sell particularly well.
Makes sense, because they want to feel it. They want to.
Well, it depends. It's like, but I think that's changing all the time. I think that, certainly we haven't had a whole pile of luck with that.
All right.
But also, you can't sell items on Amazon which need, it's difficult to sell things that need customization, for example.
Yeah.
What else?
They have a new channel now, Amazon Handmade.
It's still not that easy though. It's not really set up for it, is it?
Yeah.
For example, if you wanted to get I used to sell this range of prams that had you had a seat and you had a canopy and you had something else frame, and you had to choose them all separately, and that was very hard to sell on Amazon. Oh. And but that's quite. Those things are kind of quite hard to sell online generally, as opposed to just on Amazon. The other thing is, and they are trying to get around this, but big items are quite difficult. They do have this kind of large and heavy thing, but items which need specific delivery times, etc., have in the past been difficult to do. But they are trying to solve that. Oh, wow. I did have something the other day which I thought didn't sell that well. Oh, I don't know. It'll come back to me. Yeah. Brilliant. I don't know. It amazes me constantly that people. I bought some light bulbs online the other day and they came broken. I don't know why people thought that was a good idea. It's just like if I did one order, it turned up broken. I'm just thinking this guy's in the wrong business of sending light bulbs. Do you want to answer this question about if you use Linworks?
So from Paul, if you use Linworks, what do you use for a CRM?
Okay, so we've recently, so I'd like just first about Linworks. Linworks is really good for the price. CRM in terms of, we use customer service, we use Zendesk. You do get, we were using something called, what was it called? It's now called eDesk, and it was called something else before that. I can't believe I've forgotten it. eDesk. Anyway, so you do get some specific. Sorry, a glass of water.
Okay.
You do get some e-commerce specific customer service tools, and one of which is called eDesk. And we actually stopped using eDesk because we got fed up with it because we didn't think it was that easy to use. And then also, I don't know about you guys. Every so often, I just want to change, and I just want a system which it probably has got bugs, but it's just got different bugs. So we moved to Zendesk, which was it's not a specific CRM system, but it's got plugins extensions which basically integrate with Linworks and also integrate with eBay and Amazon and pull in the product data, and that is quite good. It's quite fast. It also integrates with it's got like a translation integration. There's loads of plugins. It's very powerful, very, very powerful. It's like, and that's charged on a per seat basis, whereas eDesk is charged in terms of questions. There's also, we did use something called Reply Manager, which was pretty good, but not as sophisticated. So the thing which is good about Zendesk, it's very easy to organize the tickets, whereas it wasn't very easy. We didn't feel it was very easy to organize the tickets in eDesk. So we're quite pleased with it. I'm interested in helping people set that up if anyone wants any help, but you know, I think that I mean, in terms of kind of CRM, we use something in terms of we're not very good at kind of attention marketing. We recently started using something called Klaviyo, which is more of a website tool. And the problem is, obviously, with marketplaces, it's difficult to pull the data, you know, to have a kind of unified customer experience from that point of view.
Yeah, when you said Zendesk integrates well with Amazon and eBay, that's very exciting to look at.
Well, at Zendesk, I mean, there is a plugin, and it's called Reply Managed. Oh, I can't remember. Okay. Email me, and I'll tell you what it is. But you basically, there is a specific extension for. I think it's both Zendesk and Freshdesk is another one, or Fresh or something. There's a few of them, and I couldn't really tell you which one's best. Zendesk is certainly a big one. And Channel Reply, that's it. There's an extension for Zendesk called Channel Reply, which basically pulls product details, order details into Zendesk. And there's something called Flow.io, which pulls the Linworks details into Zendesk. Wow. And it's pretty good, and it works really well. It's a little bit fiddly to set up, as is everything, but it's quite pleasing, and it works quite well. And my team stopped moaning when I implemented it. That's a good one, isn't it? So that's good. So I'd probably, and I think that eDesk is a bit clunky, and I never quite got my head around it. And every time I tried to fix something in it, I never seemed to be able to do it. I mean, you can, of course, just go directly into the platforms and do these things, but if you're trying to save time and not go mad, which is my general.
Yeah, having a unified approach is very important when it comes.
Yes, but I don't know, yeah, something like that. So anyway, Zendesk is quite good. Nice. What are your expenses for accounting for different tax legislations? Oh, I don't know if I even want to answer that question. It's so depressing. Okay, so I spend. If you sell over a certain amount and that amount is not that high, then you have to register for tax in different areas. And I didn't have an accountant for quite a long time, and therefore I didn't bother. But so what happened is basically a while back, Amazon are trying to get people to do this, or trying to get people to use a pan-European FBA. So they had a cheap way of signing up for tax in different areas. And I think it was free. The setup was going to be $3,000, but I got it for free. And now it costs me €300 a month to do France, Italy, Germany, Spain. Because I sell quite a lot into Belgium and Ireland and the Netherlands, I'm going to have to spend another €300 on that. I think I've got away with, broadly speaking, with I don't know, we'll see, with registering late. Then my accountant would advise you to do it as soon as you go over. We'll see. I mean, I suppose you really should register on time. I mean, there's also, you're having to register for these days, if you, you know, there's, what's it called? GFG, Goods and Trades Tax. Goods and Trades Tax? And, oh, I know, GST, Good Sales Tax, that's it. I mean, basically, if you sell into Norway, Australia, New Zealand, I think, then Amazon and eBay, all they basically, the marketplaces have to charge goods and sales tax on top of that, which they will collect. But you're supposed to collect these things yourself as well. And it is 25% for Norway, and well, so if you sell on Fruugo, for example, Fruugo will collect the tax, and therefore you're supposed to mark the packet as being GST paid. Now, it's not entirely clear how to do that, and what you really should do is you should split up your orders into the different channels they were sold, and you should put the GST paid, and then you should put your registration, the registration number, either of the marketplace or your own one, depending on how you sold it. Now, I'm probably just going to put the same tip on all of them. but don't tell them that.
That's a lot
And
of detail going in there.
sorry, what do you say?
That's a lot of details going in there.
Yeah. So yeah, so you're supposed to do that. So it does get complicated.
And it's good to have a VAT specialist accountant.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably, yeah, it's expensive though. I don't know if you need a VAT specialist, but you said, okay, I mean, I use a company called VAT Global, who are rubbish, but do the job.
All right.
Well, I mean, sometimes it's all right to use rubbish things if they're cheap and they get the job done. I mean, for international shipping, I use a company called WND, who are rubbish, broadly speaking, but they're really cheap, and they're so cheap. They're so much cheaper that it's impossible to ignore how cheap they are.
Wow.
But their customer service is rubbish, but they're a lot cheaper, and they're just about good enough.
Yeah.
So
it's always a trade-off, right? If you don't have
in a trade-off, I mean, but the thing is, literally, every year or so, I'm fed up with them, and I'll just go and look at other people, and I'll decide that, or the other thing is, I decide I'm going to send everything tracked, and then I look at how much it's going to cost, and I decide that maybe I won't do it after all, and I've done that several times.
Yeah.
Do you want to answer the next question?
Yeah.
Most startups are driven by sole entrepreneurs. Do you think
let's start with this one? I know. How do you handle my parcel has not arrived? That's my favorite.
Oh, if only I knew how to answer that question. I think the thing to do is, the way I've always done it, is that if you say to people, I think okay, well, I mean, I'm not going to answer the question in a slightly roundabout kind of way. The thing to do is to extend the delivery period as long as possible on, so for example, on Amazon, you can change the delivery period to be longer. And that basically pushes the problem down the road a bit. There's that. And basically you need to, when people say something hasn't arrived, I would always ask them another question and say, when the first message we get would be, where's my parcel? We would say, look, we're really sorry it hasn't arrived. Have you done X, Y, and Z? Have you checked this? Have you checked that? Could you, thank you, I'm busy. The first thing I do is send them a message saying, have you checked the local post office? Have you checked with your neighbors? And then, make sure they do that. And people do find things. I mean, unfortunately, the longer you can make people wait, the more chance there will have something turning up. And so we do that. And then we'd say to people, I'm sorry, but our policy is to make people not to give refunds or send replacements until a certain time has elapsed. And if you're not, that's more difficult to do on Amazon, but you can sometimes get away with it. Yeah. Say, look, so on the website, for example, it's more difficult to leave negative feedback on the website, and also, the feedback is less important because there's no kind of ODR rate or anything like that. So I would make people wait, longer, and particularly with the whole COVID thing, stuff just wasn't getting delivered, and therefore we basically were pretty much refusing to, we're saying, I'm afraid you're just going to have to wait. I mean, things were taking 2 months to deliver. Yeah. So, and I suppose eventually just to give people their money back. I mean, I don't know. There is no right answer, unfortunately. It's a difficult one. I wish I knew the answer to that question.
No, it's just to see, you're selling a lot of SKUs and international.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you just have to, you could sell stuff. We normally send stuff under 2 kilos by untracked service, and then people. I mean, Amazon standard shipping, for example, does not. You don't have to send stuff by track service. I mean, it doesn't say you have to. And people say, where's my tracking? And you say, well, I'm afraid there's no tracking available, and they get upset. But then the other option is to send stuff via a track service, and, untracked mail to France starts at about £3, if that. whereas track mail would start at 4 or 5. I mean, and go up from there. I mean, it's like, the differences are quite big.
Mm-hmm.
So, you will sell an awful lot less if you use a more expensive shipping service.
Yeah, true. Yeah. All right. I know there is no concrete answer in there.
Well, I don't know. I wish I knew the answer.
All right, fine. Yeah, I think we can wrap up here. It's quite nice having the chat with you.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's very nice. We got only 7 people in there. Is there any other question that you would like to ask? You can unmute and ask the question if you like.
No, everyone's happy.
Yeah, no. Yeah. All right, fine. Thanks, Trevor.
Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you again later. Bye-bye.
Is everyone off? Okay. Cheerio.
Bye.
Bye-bye.